Welcome to our THWAC Camp session, 6 ways to improve your security posture using critical security controls. As you can already tell, my security co-host of Awesome is Senior Product Manager Jamie Hines of SolarWinds.
Thanks, Des. It's always a pleasure to discuss security with you and everyone that's watching.
And for those of you who don't know, my name is Destiny Bertucci. I'm one of the head geeks here at SolarWinds. All right, now, Jamie, when we say security controls, a lot of people may be wondering what that actually is. Could you explain to the audience what that means so everyone is kind of on the same page?
Sure. Security controls are safeguards or countermeasures to avoid, detect, counteract, or even minimize security risks.
Excellent. And when we think of these, we have to remember that a security control can be implemented on physical property, computer systems, and really any asset. They are not just for IT professionals by any means, as security is all around us, even within our homes. Think about your front door. For instance, that is a form of security control within itself. Okay, now that the foundation is being laid out, let's talk about these CIS controls. These are created and updated by security professionals around the world. They are working towards the greater good of helping individuals to implement controls to help you guys secure and protect against common vulnerabilities and threats.
I really like referencing these as well. When thinking about the needs of our customers and how they relate to our security products here at SolarWinds, let's dive into these.
All right, yes. So we're going to put up on the screen the top 6 security controls. There are 20, but we're going to focus on the top 6 because they are actually the ones that help people to fortify their practices. Number 1, inventory and control of hardware assets. Number 2 is inventory and control of software assets.
Number 3 is continuous vulnerability management. Number 4 is controlled use of admin privileges.
And number 5 is secure configuration for hardware and software on mobile devices, laptops, workstations, and servers. Number 6 is maintenance, monitoring, and analysis of audit logs.
And we'll discuss all these briefly, Des, and then show you which SolarWinds tools you can use for some of these top 6 CIS controls.
That sounds perfect. We all know that you guys may actually have these tools currently, but you're not using them for security reasons. Jamie and I would love to discuss these and help you use these tools to back some of these controls. Okay, so numbers 1 and 2, they sound pretty familiar. Asset management. It's vital, especially with security, because you don't know what you don't have, right? And then you're not able to apply controls or validate that everything is actually applied. Trust me, you may not know everything that you have, but I guarantee you others do. They're the ones that are actually going to be scanning your networks every day and hoping to see devices that go online and offline because they're preying on them to not be patched.
Very true, Des. That's a great point. If you're not patching all of your devices, they're vulnerable. Speaking of, Des, you need to make sure you VPN from home when we apply these patches.
And we're just going to keep moving on. All right, to number 3, continuous vulnerability management. SolarWinds Network Configuration Manager, call it NCM, has portions of this as well. NCM will check your iOS vulnerabilities, and then you can report, assess, and use NCM to apply firmware updates or configuration changes that may be needed.
For the 4th control, controlled use of admin privileges, from my standpoint, SolarWinds Log and Event Manager can help with this, as you should know.
Well, they should know.
Right. That the misuse of admin privileges allows attackers to spread inside your IT infrastructure. My main concern that I would like for all viewers to know is that you really need to have a form of a logging and event tool that can help you know if an account has been added or removed from any type of admin group.
And that's a great point, Jamie. And with that, let's talk about number 5, secure configuration for hardware and software on mobile devices, laptops, workstations, and servers. And my goodness, that is a long one. But just as much as it's a long one, it's very complex. So this control needs to be able to fortify the security configurations on everything I just stated above. And it has to track, report, and correct when needed. Now, as Jamie and I said earlier, we want you to be aware of these controls and how SolarWinds can help you along the way. We are not able to do all of these with SolarWinds tools alone, but with just a few adjustments, we can help with some of them. And I'll be showing you this in the demo on NCM a little later.
And now for my favorite control, number 6, maintenance, monitoring, and analysis of audit logs. This one is mainly focused on collecting, managing, and the ability to analyze audit logs and events. LEM is the perfect product we'll focus on for this control, as its analyzing abilities of logs and events make it a great fit.
Okay, we will discuss these further in the demos, but I just can't wait any longer. Let's go ahead and dive right in. All right, and so now for number 1, inventory and controls for the hardware assets. I'm thinking we're gonna do this one with NCM, so get out of my way, buddy.
Sounds good.
All right, so what I'm gonna do is show you the kind of the inventory as it's going to be across with your hardware, so that you can also see like your firmware, things of that nature, things that actually are pertinent to you for the asset management. So I'm gonna go into my reports. So for NCM, I go to configs, and then I can roll into my reports. And as you can already see, we already have the node details, we have the Brocad, we have Cisco, we have regular inventory, security, even Windows servers here.
Nice.
Now what that is because you can actually put on asset inventory, and you can do that within your NCM, and it'll keep it updated as well as you add them in. Something, a little trick for you to know. All right, so I'm going to go into my inventory of the Cisco, and then I can see automatically there's my iOS images, my flash memories, the discovery protocol, anything of which that is on these devices that we're monitoring for, I'm able to pull out. So on that control, we had to be able to assess the situation and have the discoveries. So NCM and NPM have the discovery within them so that you can actually go in there, as you can see here, your network discovery, you can discover your devices, and then they're constantly being updated. So these reports are being updated on the backside. Now, when we go into the inventory reports, these are more specific to like networking, right? Because it's NCM, it's Network Configuration Manager. So this is going to give you like logical entities, your physical entities. So when you're talking about things like, you know, Nexus, for example, we all understand that like if you can have a 4 picture up there, right? Like you have your 7000 series at the top and you got your 55s down below, but it actually looks like one device, right? Like the logical of it is one device. This actually shows those out there for you, so it's really neat to have. But for the node details, we can see all the nodes and all the system information that comes across there. I want to open up one of these just so that we can see it. And now we can actually see the node groups that we have them set up in, which is all your custom properties that you can do for those. And then I can see their system name, the address, the protocol, the actual vendor, what they're doing, and the machine types. Now machine types are vital because if you're having like vulnerabilities, which I know we'll get to in a minute, those are things that you need to know because that's what it's going to be based upon is like your machine type, your firmware version, what's going on here, how can I group these and put them into a firmware upgrade that NCM can actually do. I'm going to get into that one in just a minute, but I think that you want to talk a little bit more about some reporting for software.
Correct, Des. Yeah, so control number 2 is inventory and control of software assets. Mm-hmm. So to assist with control number 2, Des, in terms of control and inventory of software assets, Patch Manager is a good fit there. So Patch Manager integrates with your WSUS or SCCM deployments and can query machines based on WMI. So what happens is we can query those machines, pull back all the information such as what software is installed on my devices, and store those in a SQL database and run reports on those. So as an example, if I come into my software installed report, I can now run across my entire environment. I can see what software is installed on which machines. So if I want to look at maybe unauthorized software, so if I expand this out, and I can now see all the various different pieces of software right across every single machine. I can also filter these. So if I wanted to, we'll say, filter this and only hone in on a specific piece of software that I want to see, is it on my network, it's unauthorized, it could be vulnerable software, etc. I can look here and I could see, show me all machines where maybe Wireshark is installed, where people maybe looking at packet sniffing software on my network, and I can see these various different machines have that software installed.
Makes sense.
I can actually take it a step further. So if I identify, based on those reports, that we've identified some software, I can go a step further with Patch Manager and I can actually uninstall that software. So Patch Manager can be used for updating software, which I'll cover in a second under vulnerability management. But if I go to my Computer Explorer here, I can then, on an individual machine, again, pull back all the software installed, and from there I can actually uninstall software. So let's say you see WinPCAP on a particular device, you want to uninstall that software. I can now uninstall from here, and I can decide, do I want to uninstall it on that one machine or across my entire domain or a WSUS computer group, etc. There's a huge range of options I can have here in terms of where I'm going to uninstall that software.
And so you were just talking about vulnerabilities too. So this is actually number 3 we can jump into in just a moment. But so you're kind of still on my show here. Because NCM does a great job with vulnerabilities too, but now this is making me think a little bit differently. So why don't you start into number 3, and we'll kind of pick it up with NCM as soon as you get done showing us what the vulnerability is here.
Sure. So I guess patching and vulnerability kind of go together hand in hand. So if you have a vulnerability scanning tool that identifies a vulnerability, what do you do next? So the first port of call for a lot of people is to patch your machines and ensure they're on the latest updates to your software that could potentially mitigate those vulnerabilities. So as Patch Manager integrates with tools like WSUS and SCCM, it can be used to patch both Microsoft updates and third-party updates. So as you can see on the left-hand side, you can see some of the packages we include out of the box for vendors including Adobe, Google, Apple, Java, etc. So SolarWinds maintains our own catalog to save our users from actually having to build their own packages. So you can leverage these packages to update that potentially vulnerable software on your network. The last thing you want is users to have the control to allow the auto-updaters on those appliances to actually update themselves. You want to have the control over when patches are applied, how they're applied, which machines they're applied, etc. You don't want users having that.
And that's really good information, because especially when you guys have SolarWinds installed and out in your environment, sometimes like when the servers are set to auto update, it can cause problems sometimes. Like you want to test those things out and make sure that you're on a strict schedule that you can actually go back to and say, hey, there was a change that took place. Maybe that's causing this problem. So if you ever have to like create a support ticket or anything, you know in advance what you're telling them, so we know where to look also to help.
Mm-hmm. And even going back to that software report, again, if you know a particular version of a browser, for example, is vulnerable, you can run a report to show me, all my browsers, what versions are on, and maybe which machines need to be patched based on that. So it really ties in. It's a great fit for control number 3.
That's great. Now let me show you how awesome NCM is for control number 3.
I'll move out of the way.
Move it over. So when you were talking about the vulnerabilities, I was like, hey, you're still on my show here. Come on. But seriously, when we're talking about vulnerabilities, you have to be able to update, you have to be able to track them, you have to be able to make the changes. Now, before you used to have to do your firmware upgrades, then you would actually do these one-on-one with the devices, you'd have your TFTP server, you'd make sure your packages were there, it was all there, and you were able to do it. Not that you do these every day by any means, or I hope they're not every day unless there's like some crazy security things going on. But what we like to do is we want to make sure that you can visualize what these iOS updates are looking like, and then I want to show you like how we can do a firmware update. So from NCM, you can go to the regular page. Okay, so this is the config summary page, and if you look right here in the middle, you'll see the firmware vulnerabilities. So this goes out at night and it actually looks at the NIST database and it actually goes, hey, what's new today, right? And so when it sees that information, it compares it to your configurations into your actual devices that are coming across, so that it knows what's implemented, what's not implemented, what version of software, what is the fix that come across here. So if I click into one of these, we can see what it actually shows us from them. So this is the vulnerability summary from the CVE, the common vulnerabilities database, and then this is going to show us the link directly to it so that we can go out and verify what this means for us, so that we can actually have something to talk about to the management behind doors, right? And then we can see that it has multiple SSH2 servers, this one, and it has some issues that's going across there. Now, what I can do in the network configuration manager like you have is the comment here, anything that I'm wanting to do. So this is for auditing purposes. So if this is, I've addressed it, I'm seeing it, maybe I need to talk to, Phil, I need to talk to somebody before my lead, something of that nature. You can put the information in here so that you're tracking it, because in audits, you have to track what's going on.
If it's not documented, it's not done.
Exactly. And especially when you're thinking about vulnerabilities and the way that we have to patch and update and continually do things, you have to showcase that you understand that there is a process. And that's what I like to tell people, is that when we're doing audits, it's the importance of you going through the motions. Even if you're not fixing it today and it's 2 months out, if you show that you're already engaging and you're doing something that's coming across, then you're already ahead of the game. And that helps people to kind of go with you and to make sure that we're not kind of blocking anything down. So then I can go potential vulnerability, it's confirmed that it's there, I can state all of this, I can apply it to the node so that it'll actually show up for them and say, what's going on with it. Now, for an update, I can go into my NCM, and then we can go into the firmware upgrades. Now, you guys may have your network configuration manager open right now with us. I hope you are. And if you do, sometimes people don't notice that there's new things with new features and stuff that comes across. So it's always good to kind of run through some of these when you see there, because I know you're not updating your firmwares every day or doing things like that, but a lot of people that we've talked to didn't even know that was still there. And I'm like, it's been there. So we can go into the firmware upgrades, and this is a wizard-driven upgrade. So what that means is before, when you do these upgrades, you would actually have to make sure that you had the memory, you'd have to have the storage, the capabilities, what's going to happen, you're going to have a fail-safe, can you go back? Well, that's all taken care of for you. We have a checks and balances system that's going to come across there and actually do that for you.
What could possibly go wrong, Des?
Right? I've had a few things go wrong, so let's not say that. Okay, so here is the firmware upgrade operations table. Now, when you look through here, you can automatically see you can add, which means you're going to add into a new operation. You can cancel all of them, clear them. You can do the cleared the failed ones. Here's what I like. It actually gives me the history of what happened, because sometimes you may be upgrading or doing something and it may be somebody else's maintenance and they're making changes that's coming across there. So there's things that can happen even if you're manually doing things or using a tool. So this tracks that for you so that you're able to be aware of the situations around you. But let me show you how easy this is, and I absolutely love it. We're going to add in here and we're going to create a new upgrade. So when we're coming across here, these are the different firmware upgrade templates of which that we have in here, and it's going to be based upon the devices of which that we have as well. Now you can look at these yourself by managing them. They're on the side, so don't think, oh my gosh, what is this going to do? You can totally look at it. It's not a problem. Now, and also I would like to bring this to the point here though, is that we have multi and single context mode on here too. So that's always great, but we've talked about that plenty of times. So I'm just going to choose a basic one out of here and I'm going to call it a test, and I'm just going to hit next on here. Now, while I'm doing this, it's gathering that template, it's understanding what this operation is going to do, and now it's like, now you give me the goods. So on your network, network configuration manager, you can go in here and you're going to see the images of which that you can point this to. So I click on the image that fits right for my device that I'm going to do, or group of devices, however you're wanting to do that. And you can click it and say, okay, it automatically is picking it up. Now that saves me time because it's going from one repository and it's able to grab that firmware and then send it out based upon the connection strings and the actual context that we need for the CLI. You don't have to do that. You can schedule that for when you're doing your maintenance window, but this is a part of a process now that is done, right? Like this is part of the I'm fixing something to get to my vulnerabilities, I am doing something, I'm reacting, even if I schedule it out. So you have to make sure that you monitor that, or you can go back to your comments section and say, hey, I've set this up, this is what we're going to do.
And from a security perspective, Des, can you decide which users have rights to actually apply those firmware upgrades?
Yes, definitely. And that's always something that I encourage everybody to do, is go in and check your security configurations that you have set up for your actual people, because you may have your own Orion platform devices, and you may have like your network performance monitor and your network configuration manager, and there's new people that have been added in, especially if you think about Windows, if you're using the Windows groups, things of that. Then what happens is sometimes people get elevated privileges by accident, right? It's not that you're meaning to do it, it's just new people are coming on and people aren't really checking in with their Active Directories and they're just applying it to make sure that they have access. So always go through and make sure that you're looking at that. And that's just a good security tip point.
And we'll cover admin privileges shortly.
You will. All right, so this is where I can pick my devices to come across, and you can also set this up to be based upon any of the actual custom properties that you have set up. So that helps you from the get-go as well, because maybe you're going to do it in stages. And then we would say, okay, start collecting your data, and then we'd go in through your upgrade options of which that it's going to do. Now, the collecting of the data is it's going to make sure that it can gather all the information from this device, make sure it has the connections, make sure everything that's coming across there. Now, when we get these set up and we want to run them, cancel them, or however you want to do, it takes you back to this operation screen. That's perfectly fine. That's what it's supposed to do. Now, that's going to go out and it would be able to make its update. You'd be able to schedule it if you wanted to. We're not able to do that right now because I don't have a device to update or to go through. But I wanted you to show how easy it is to actually do a process to actually get those things to go through. Sure. Okay, now, I like this because I wanted to show you the please review to continue. Because a lot of times, this is where I've heard from you guys on THWAC, you get stuck because they see that collecting data and they think it's doing something automatically. And that's what I wanted to show you here, is that it will come back and verify, right? Like it's verifying what the system image is, compare it to the files, and this is an incorrect one because I just randomly did it. So it already knows that it's incorrect. These upgrade options, these are the ones that are going to allow you to verify the backup image, the time, the space, everything that comes across there, that little checks and balances that I was talking about earlier. And then you can also generate a script if you want to of what it's going to do your own. You can confirm that this is all verified and then hit next. My point to this is when you are setting these up, set them up. It's not going to do the firmware immediately to take it across. You can still schedule to do it out. But get used to this screen. You want to come here because you want to make sure that you're actually able to secure your devices on your network, and you need to be able to be more fluently aware of how the actual firmware upgrade process is so that you're not so far behind.
So we're now going to look at controlled use of admin privileges, Des.
Number 4. All right, take it over.
Cool. So the tool we're going to look at when it comes to admin privileges is SolarWinds Log and Event Manager. Now this is our SIM tool, as we mentioned, collects log data, correlates it, normalizes, etc. So when it comes to admin privileges, we can collect logs from your, say, domain controllers, for example, to look at group changes. So which users are being added to your admin groups? Are the users being maybe added incorrectly? Which users are being removed from groups, etc., and keep a close eye on all of that. So we can see that both in, we'll say, real time, and also you can run reports to see on a monthly basis or a weekly basis how often this activity is happening. Maybe is a user part of the admin group, or maybe is a admin maybe accessing files they shouldn't be. There's a huge host of activity you can monitor using the SIM tool when it comes to admin privileges.
Awesome.
So using the LEM events console here, so we can see all the logs as they come in, and you can then filter that also. So for my all events filter on the left-hand side, I can see each and every event from every source I'm monitoring. However, I can come down here to my filters on the left-hand side, and I can now see maybe group changes. So under group changes, I can now see, actually, as it happens, one here, I can see a new group member, and I can see, in this case, this user was added to the administrators group. So I then, as an admin, should validate that user was correctly added to that group. Which user is it? Was it signed off? Is the access rights appropriate, etc.? And then you can take further action from there, just in case that wasn't correct, we'll say.
So if you guys have your login event manager open now and you're looking at this too with us, then think about it this way. You're able to look at these new groups, and you could create groups, right? Like something to actually look for within here.
Exactly.
So you could be monitoring if you have any Windows groups that are with the SolarWinds, so that you would know what needs to be taken away and who needs to be denied, or who's just been gained access.
Very true. And when it comes to, we'll say, USB devices, so we often see, case in the media where there's been data breaches due to USB devices. It could simply be a maybe disgruntled administrator coming into your file server, plugging in a USB device and simply copying those files off. So Log and Event Manager also includes USB device monitoring. Mm-hmm. So again, you can look for various different file copies to USB devices, file moves, deletions, etc., to keep a close eye on, is there any malicious activity by an administrator when it comes to files, which can contain lots of sensitive information.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, especially because a lot of times they'll elevate their privileges so that they can try to get around and be able to use USBs and things too.
Exactly. So back to Active Directory again, if we look at things like account maybe disabled, or even people enabling accounts as well. So let's say a user leaves the company, you need to validate that account is disabled in a timely manner. So that kind of ties back to the admin privileges. Are administrators disabling those accounts correctly, or are they maybe re-enabling an account and then using that account maybe incorrectly or maliciously? So having that ability to track those kind of events and alert on them very quickly is vital when it comes to control number 4.
Definitely.
So with the volume of log data you typically get on a daily basis, it can be very hard to find that needle in the haystack as such. So LEM includes a correlation engine to look for all of those types of activities I just mentioned, and then alert and even respond to those actions. So let's say if I look for, let's do a search for a group. So in this case, I want to look to see, was a user added to a group? So as part of the CIS control, we want to see, has a user been added to an admin group? So in this case, we're looking for an event that says, was a member added to group? It's not a system account, and I can from there add more conditions and say whether the group name is equal to admin. If that happens, I want to send an email message, but I can also go a step further, and I can actually remove that user from the group. So maybe if a user was incorrectly added to the admins group, before any damage can be done by that user, you can actually remove that user from the group due to LEM's active response.
Which is perfect because that helps you to be proactive in case there is something that is trying to take off within your infrastructure. It can be stopped, verified, and then, okay, cool, we can enable it, or no, it didn't need to be there, and you just stopped a lot of damage that was potentially could have been done.
Exactly, and the same goes for USB devices. If you want to maybe block a USB device by an admin user or on a particular file server, or maybe if admin launches maybe a malicious process, you can kill that process. There's a huge range of act responses you can take, as you can see on the left-hand side here.
And that's what I like to bring you on here all the time for, is because I feel like LEM is one of those products that there is so much to it. It reminds me of Network Configuration Manager, which is, everybody knows that's like my favorite product. But they have so many intricate details that are within them that allow you to just expand them that it blows my mind. But even with LEM itself, there's so many security-rich feature sets that are within here that help you to gain control over what's going on in your security team. Just by being able to disable those accounts proactively without you doing it, that can prevent a lot of problems that are coming across there. Denying the USBs that are coming across there. You can kill processes. You're able to do something. You can be at your ops center here with your login event manager, and you can actually do something if you see something. That's something that I think is very important that you need to understand here, is that a SIEM tool allows you to kind of control, with its controls, the ability to gain back your kind of your infrastructure and have this synth and kind of a health flow check with it. I always like to say a baseline is so vital that people don't really understand how great they have the information for, because once you start seeing the flow and you understand how your security is working even on the backside with LEM, then you see anomalies that are sticking out of there, things that probably would have gone unnoticed. But when you're looking at these and you see an uptick or you see things that are coming across, that's a direct concern, and that's something that you hone in on just by having baseline, by monitoring, and by actually keeping this information. Yeah,
you'd be very surprised what you'll see when you start sending log data to a tool such as LEM, what's happening in your environment that you don't know.
Exactly.
So we might touch on LEM again on control number 6, but what's next?
Number 5 is the long one. Are you ready for this? It's your secure configurations for hardware and software on your mobile devices, your laptops, your workstations, and your servers.
It's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful, and it's also very complex, right? There's a lot of moving parts there. Now, what we wanted to make sure that you knew is that, we're helping you guys to kind of introduce you to the CIS controls, and to try to help you out with the first 6 of these here. Now, we're not able to do a lot of the ones that are within this control 5, but something that we wanted to briefly touch on is that the secure configurations of your hardware. So like your network devices, things of that nature, NCM has your back on that one. So we're going to go into NCM again, and I'm just going to go into the config summary. Now, what this means in an audit world, and because me and Jamie like to live in audit worlds, it seems, is that this is automatically a dashboard that's going to let you know your backup situation. It's going to let you know, what has not been backed up. It's going to let you know you're running your startup configs. Now, where that helps you is that we are also encrypting our database connections. You're able to do that now within the SolarWinds. So these are encrypted. That's what we want. And then also on your config site, you can use the SCP server, things of that nature, so that you can actually keep things that are secure and more encrypted that's coming across there. The main focus point that I wanted to do on this one is we're able to back up multi-vendor devices, as you can see over here. You're able to do a fail-safe. So if something was to happen and you lost, say you lost, the device went down, you have to bare bones it and you have to put a new one back in. We can go in here and we automatically have the configurations that are going to be there so that you can quickly get that up and running. And you're not just saving or doing things with your notepads, things like that, trying to keep everything around. Now, why I think this is important is because a lot of times when base gets put in, your bare bones, a lot of the times people will just hurry to try to get things that are put out there. And I've seen this happen to where your enable secrets aren't done, where you're actually leaving protocols that can leave you liable because you're vulnerable. And so we need to make sure that we have the security in check with your templates so that when you update them, you're able to start off with a secure device where you left off. Does that make sense? You're not catching up to it and adding as the time grows and then find out, down the road that it didn't have everything that it was needing. By seeing these, you have what you had on there, and then you're able to do a compliance check, and that's something that it's part of this, and it's one of those that can help you with this control, but it's not specifically for this control. But NCM compliance will look into these configs and be able to verify. Now, network standardization is huge for security, and a lot of people are kind of like, what? Why is network? It's easier for you to group, it's easier for you to identify, and it's easier to keep templates together. So consistency is key, because then that way when you're applying new security controls like these that are coming across, it's easy to verify that they are done. That goes part into that assess, document, and be able to do something about it. We have to make sure that we're able to do that.
And can you baseline these configs as well to keep the standardization?
Yep, you can actually change these around. So if you're wanting a baseline, if you're wanting to do one and say that it's called test 32, you can do that as well. Because a lot of people will put a standard one there, and they'll actually have that in there like, if this is out of the box and brand new tomorrow, then use this one within there. And you're gonna save these up to the amount of time that you wanna do that. A lot of people save them locally, and then a lot of them use TFTP servers, SFTP servers, things of that nature to keep them out there. And that's up to you on how long that you're wanting to keep those files. Now, when you check, the major thing with security, just like what you're talking about with LIM, is what happens if something changes or something that's going on there. By using the syslog and you have the real-time change notification turned on, you're able to get messages automatically by who's made a change, what's going on, and then you can actually see the change that was made. So for me, if I came across here, you're able to see the change report by clicking on there, and it shows you just that portion of it, of what's actually been changed. Now, I can revert it back because we're saving the configs. Now, the great thing about that, that's part of that, right? Like that's the whole thing of being able to have these secure configurations, is so that you're able to pick it up, restart where you need to be, or go back previously so that you can do it as a recovery. All right, now, I know that a lot of you guys have been waiting for this one though, and this would be number 6, which is?
Maintenance, monitoring, and analysis of audit logs. And this is really a perfect fit for Log and Event Manager. LEM, as I said before, collects logs from your servers, workstations, network devices, etc. There's a huge range of sources that we support with LEM. When it comes to the maintenance of those logs, it's important that you retain those logs for a certain amount of time, especially when you're in a regulated industry and you have to comply to standards such as HIPAA, SOX, ISO, or even if you're not, if it's just a matter of improving your security posture and being able to look back, was there a breach 6 months ago, or putting the piece of the puzzle back together. Having all that log data aggregate in a central point is vital for those kind of use cases.
Definitely, especially with the HIPAA. I mean, there's standard rules of time frames that you have to save things that, files and be able to do things, period. And on your network configuration manager, we have those compliances out of the box. So that's for like your DISA, your STIGs, and your HIPAA and things like that in too.
So when it comes to the maintenance of those, it is important that you store those long term, and that's exactly what LEM allows you to do. So LEM is a virtual appliance which you can apply a huge amount of storage to be able to store those logs centrally and manage them from a central point. When it comes to analysis of those logs, the correlation engine, that's exactly what the correlation engine does. It analyzes each and every log that comes into your LEM appliance, and from there, again, you can do your active response on those various different rules triggering. So as you can see, we have some very powerful rules out of the box, including things like database auditing, file auditing, inappropriate usage, process auditing. It's a huge range of rules we have out of the box. Obviously, if you have a particular rule you want to create yourself, it's incredibly easy to create your own custom rules as well.
And that's important because when we talk about security posture here, you have to be able to have your security plans that are active. Now, you can just set these up just like Network Configuration Manager, your Network Performance Monitor, or even with LIM and Patch, you can set these up to adhere to and add to your own security policy. We're not just helping you to back up like the CIS controls, we're helping you to be more secure within your environments and kind of more relaxed about it, right? Like we're hoping to encourage you to tiptoe into these so that you can kind of get more out of them.
So one final point on log monitoring, Des, is the visualization of that log data. So obviously, logs can be a bit cumbersome to kind of trawl through and look at all that text. So for that reason, it can be a bit easier to actually analyze those logs or try to make sense of what's going on with that log data via visualization. So with the tools such as Log and Event Manager, you can chart that data. So let's say if I'm looking at, as we spoke about earlier, like admin activity in terms of change management within Active Directory, you can see here all change management events by type. So let's say I want to see user disabled, so maybe which users are locked out. So if you're getting thousands of events every minute and trying to find those 3 lockout events, instead of that, you can come into your visualization tool here and you can say, show me those events, and it will now show me, as it happens, actually an account lockup by administrator. And then from there, drill down and see where those failed logons are coming from, why did the administrator get locked out.
That's perfect, because I mean, that's what we're wanting to do, is be more comfortable within their logs.
Exactly.
Now, wasn't there also something else that you could do here that would show us like the same information but in different platform sets?
Very true. So in this section of Log Event Manager here, I can view all my historical data. So I can see data for the last 10 minutes, 30 minutes, hour, whatever the case may be. Let's say, for argument's sake, if I say, what has happened in the last 30 minutes? And it will then split out here all my various different event names. So if I want to quickly hone in on a particular event type or a particular username, etc., I can do so here. And now at the bottom of this page, it'll show me various different more visualizations. So I can see, for example, tree maps, word clouds, bar charts, histograms, etc. So again, that.
So this is the thing that one of the parts that I really enjoy, and I was like hoping that you would show this, is because when I'm in the booth and I'm like helping people with LIM, what they like the most is seeing this, and it's because different people react to data in different ways, right? Like I can see, like for instance, ransomware, right? Like if that was coming across, when we start seeing some of those different EXEs and different executables coming across, word cloud can actually be your best friend, because you're going to see that event start to come through and it's literally going to be staring you in the face. Yeah. And that's something that you can be like, hey, there's something going on here. We need to look at this and we need to get that done. Same token, other people are able to look at it just by the tree form and to see things that are coming across it. Bar charts are for some people and pie charts work better for different data. The point is that we want to be able to be with you and help you to understand your data. And so for you to be comfortable within LIM and to see the different options are actually great to play around with, because you may find for different event types that one of these different viewpoints will help you to visualize things, which makes you better at what you're doing.
So when it comes to analysis, monitoring, and auditing of log data, LIM is clearly a great fit.
Definitely. My goodness, that is a lot to take in.
It's really great to show that the tools we have can help you now and tomorrow with your security postures.
I 100% agree. Well, that sums up this session. Make sure you follow Jamie and I, as we're always engaging and discussing security past, present, and future. So join the conversation with us. I'm Destiny Bertucci.
And I'm Jamie Hines. And thank you for joining us for this TWAC Camp session. See you next time.